Okay, so where are we starting with this? Because last chapter, gonna start off with taking that L. Had this whole Terminator theory that everyone was thinking about. Didn't really pan out, but York? I know no one was expecting that. Before I get into it, make sure you guys have already read this. Chapter 1078 is out. Let's jump into this. So York is really the traitor, and no one was expecting that. So I had to go back a few chapters. Last time we saw York was in chapter 1075. She was with Lilith, Frankie, and Usopp. And after Pythagoras gets blasted, his head comes out of the smoke, and they're trying to figure everything out. And he's like, no, York, don't get close, as Snake is turning people to stone. She turns York to stone, and that's the last time we saw her. Now, next time we see her, next thing we know, we're in the basement and Shaka's dead. And here we are. So where do we even, how'd that happen? So I was trying to figure out, is this another version of York because of what Vegapunk was saying? Or if this is really York and then York gave the command to Esboa to release her from being turned to stone. Don't really know when she had time to do that. That's what's kind of throwing me off with this reveal. I think it's still pretty dope. I mean, either way, it makes sense. York is desire, so that was something that potentially Vegapunk could have wanted once upon a time, that he really wanted to be with the Celestial Dragons. He wanted to have all of that power and, you know, have the freedom of doing whatever he wanted to do, and having all of the unlimited funding that the Celestial Dragons have. They have all that money, so he'd be able to create whatever he wanted. So I think it definitely makes sense now that we're figuring it out. We would have thought maybe evil, you know, with Lilith would have been the one that wanted to backstab him, but no, it was really desire. It was really York. So I love that, but at the same time, we need this clarification. We need to know how this happened. How did York go from turning into stone, freeing herself, to taking control of all the Seraphim? And I'm assuming that's been York. So I kind of got to backtrack. Started from the end and want to start from the cover story. Cover story we got still pretty dope. It seems like we're going to get that reunion that I talked about potentially of Mads. Caesar and Judge have formed Neo Mads, and I'm sure that their goal is going to be to somehow take down Vegapunk. So maybe they're going to pull up to Egghead. We're going to have this whole reunion like I was talking about, minus Queen, because Queen is still in Wano. That was a cover story. It's going to probably somehow link to the main story. This whole Gemma story is definitely going to be linking everything full circle. So I think that's pretty dope. But yeah, so checking in with the Straw Hats, Luffy and Zoro fighting against Mihawk, and Mihawk just disappeared. So they still have Kuma there, but Mihawk disappeared. So Zoro going after that. We got that comic relief of Luffy calling Kaku Usopp because they both have the long nose. So I'm trying to figure out, does he think that was Usopp the whole time they were fighting?
このブックに言おうか。
ああ、ウソップか。
おい、俺はここにいるぞ、ルフィ。
そうよ、この人四角いわ。つうことは四角いウソップ。
いや、俺に三角も四角もねえよ。
Or is that just something that he's just calling him like a Usopp lookalike? Because they were clearly fighting earlier, you know, against each other, and Zoro was fighting against Kaku. So when did Luffy think that this somehow magically became Usopp? I'm not sure. But I thought that was still hilarious, though, because I could definitely somehow still seeing Luffy thinking that this was really Usopp, the same way he thought that Soge King was a completely separate person in Water 7. Still see kind of giving us an update in the beginning of the chapter, having that conversation with Sentomaru. Sentomaru tells everybody to run, and it seems like Stussy and Jinbei are kind of starting to figure things out. And then when we cut to Atlas, who's with Chopper and Robin, Atlas also brings up the potential basement. So I think Atlas's group may be heading down to the basement. Some more comic relief with Sanji and Sanji's group when Sanji gets hit by the Seraphim of Jinbei, the Jinbei Seraphim. His armor now is definitely on a new level because he doesn't feel anything, and he's just talking about the power of love. His eyebrows flip back, so I don't know if you guys caught that, like I mentioned last chapter. This may be like some kind of upgrade, or when he's using some crazier flames. We'll probably get some clarification someday, probably in the anime. because we know that his flames get hotter at some point. So this may be like his serious mode when his eyebrows flip and then they flip back, and now he's back talking about it's just really the power of love, and that's why he's able to take Jinbei's demon brick fist. Just continuing to show Sanji's feats, which I'm loving. But yeah, after the check-ins with the Straw Hats and seeing where everyone is on Egghead, we get this recap of what's been going on for the last 3 months, because apparently this traitor has been reaching out to the government and snitching on Vegapunk since 3 months ago. And talking about that, I need to talk to the top brass. So the whole time I was loving this chapter, because the whole time you're reading the narrator boxes, and then every once in a while you're getting that panel saying like, I need to talk to the top brass again. I need to talk to the top brass. And it's like, who's calling? Because it's somebody from Egghead. And we're like, it can't be one of the Vegapunks, right? So I'm hoping that next chapter we get that clarification of how York was able to get away with this. Potentially because when I was looking at that panel also, like I said, chapter 1075, go back and look. The last time when we actually saw York is walking with them, and York's just like, I'm sleepy. And then I was just like, that makes so much sense that York could probably go under the radar, because anytime York could have been doing something, you could have just thought York was taking a nap. But York was probably really making phone calls to the government, snitching everything, capturing all these CP agents, putting them in the cell. And it's like, that was pretty masterful. I would have never thought, but it makes sense. All of the Vegapunks, even though they have specific tasks that they do based off of their predetermined factors. So like, Shaka being the good one, he's the one that kind of keeps control of what everyone else is doing and makes sure that they're doing good. And York being the one for the desires, just making sure everyone's desires are met, making sure that, when, if they don't want to go to the bathroom, she goes for them, or if they don't have time to eat, she goes and eats. So pretty much thinking that everyone is just doing their own thing. And I just assume that with the fact that they upload everything to the cloud, that they can't keep anything to themselves. But it apparently seems that they either can keep things to themselves, or it's potentially that they just all don't tap into what every single other Vegapunk is doing, which I thought the Stella would probably do. But if he did, he wouldn't be locked up in a cell right now trying to figure out what's happening. So, this whole arc, they've definitely been trying to escalate it and make us feel the tension that we're going to get an Ohara 2.0 situation. All of these Navy ships are coming to just blow up the island. And on top of it, we've got one of the girls say Wakazaru. So definitely leaving for some very interesting stakes, and definitely going to continue to ramp up. But definitely enjoyed it, and next chapter is definitely going to be a doozy. We finally did kind of get a check-in with Bonnie. Didn't really stay too long. It was just kind of to show that she's still in that room with the bubble. So, I think maybe next chapter we'll probably see a bit more of that flashback, and gonna see the status of where the government's at. But it seems like everything is gonna be taking place the next day, because it seems like the next day is when Egghead is probably gonna get destroyed. That's by the time when the government's gonna pull up. And throughout that time, we got to figure out how all the Straw Hats are gonna link up again. How are we going to get these guys that are turned to stone back to normal, and how we're going to take back control from York, because it seems like York is the one that's in control of the whole island right now, controlling all of the transponder snails because no one's able to really communicate, controlling the cameras because the cameras haven't been showing everything that's going on, and controlling the Seraphim to attack everybody. So what else is going to happen next chapter? Check in with the government. And at the end, since we're going to have a break week the following week, I think we may get something happening with the outside world, whether we find out what's going on with Shanks or Blackbeard and with the government. So definitely let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It's your boy Gabe D Champ. Peace.